What's up guys, it's me Jeremy. A lot of you guys probably remember Magma Chamber as like this 1v1, 2v2 game mode showcased back at the 2013 All-Star event, but the game mode actually could have ended up being a lot different and was originally planned to be a much more expansive game mode introduced to League of Legends. So join us today in taking a look back before the, eventual cancellation to find out what Magma Chamber could have been. And if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely hit that like button, because if this video hits, let's say, a couple thousand ratings, then I'm gonna do 50 push-ups. Either way, enjoy the video. So the original design of Magma Chamber was actually focused on a 5 versus 5 game mode, so somewhat similar to Summoner's Rift, it would have involved full-size teams. So you might wonder why Riot wanted to make another 5v5 map, but the actual way that it was designed, it would have been a totally different feel, totally different metagame, and in reality it was a lot different to Summoner's Rift. For example, Summoner's Rift is pretty large, it's a very big map with a big disconnect between each of the lanes, which results in people chilling in their lanes and only really coming together to fight after the mid game. Magma Chamber, on the other hand, was focused on smaller, more tactical fights, which meant that there was always going to be threats nearby, so you'd have to be a lot more aware of the map and what's going on, and the metagame would have been totally different because the map definitely would have favored fights between smaller groups of players rather than much bigger 5 versus 5 team fights. The map was actually huge. It was the biggest, much bigger than Summoner's Rift, with longer lanes as well, and having such a big map actively discouraged players from just kind of walking around in a death ball, so it was super important to be comfortable in 1v1, 2v2, 3v3 scenarios, and achieving victory in lanes was definitely crucial to getting ahead. Because the map was so much larger, it was a lot riskier to waste time in between moving lanes to gank and stuff, because a failed gank would waste a lot more time of the player, and the lanes weren't really set up in a way that encouraged ganking either. The map layout concepts show one really cool feature that Magma Chamber had as a part of its design: 4 different static teleportation pads, which were designed to let you traverse the map a little bit easier, since it would take you so damn long to actually run across it normally. There were 4 pads, 2 on each side of the map and located between the lanes, and they weren't really designed for ganking, mostly just like returning from base really. So instead they were made to give you a way, to get back to lane quickly, or maybe as a way to get between objectives. So the appearance of Magma Chamber was, as you probably guessed from its name, pretty volcanic in general. When it was first teased in a sneak peek, Riot said that one of the things that was requested the most was new maps for the game at the time, and they were answering that with a brand new Field of Justice map called Magma Chamber. They actually posted a pretty cool little bit of background on the map, saying that the Institute of War is actually carved out inside of an obsidian mountain, which happened to be the home of the Magma Chamber. It was originally the center of a massive volcano, and although it's now dormant, ancient magma cut a huge cavern that the League of Legends had redesigned in order to shape it into a new battleground. It was built as an arena to settle disputes specifically between Demacia and Noxus, and it was the largest of the Fields of Justice. The concept art for Magma Chamber doesn't really give you a true sense of just the vast scale of the map, but it does show you a couple of really key things. First up, red versus blue. So the red side of the map is the half that is still volcanically active, with pools of lava surrounding the map and obsidian rocks still glowing super red hot. While the blue side of the map, on the other hand, looks a lot more like hot springs kind of, some signs of geothermic activity, like you've got some steam vents and some bubbling pools, but for the most part, it's a lot more calm when compared to the red side, kind of like you'd expect. The final piece of concept art shows one of the center areas of the map, which contained a new neutral monster that players would have fought over, chained down in its own platform, with a few access ramps that players can use to get close. The concept art looks surprisingly similar to the champion concept of Omen actually, as it's like a pretty, demonic looking monster with sharp claws and rows of teeth. Although we don't have different images of them, apparently all of the jungle monsters on the Magma Chamber would have been completely different, probably just to make them fit better with the general concept. For example, the wolves and razorbeaks don't exactly seem like good inhabitants for the center of a volcano, but maybe some kind of lava golems would have been really cool, and of course, you gotta have a fire dragon. So a lot of players might be wondering, why Magma Chamber ended up getting cancelled if Riot really did have such a clear vision for the way that the map would look and play, even if they were confident enough in it to give players hope by offering a sneak peek. Now, reasons for why this 5 versus 5 version of Magma Chamber got cancelled are a little bit unclear. The versions as to why the 1v1 2v2 game mode of Magma Chamber got cancelled are a little bit more concrete, but for this 5v5 version, the speculation was at the time that even though the layout would definitely encourage a new metagame, the game was never really balanced around the playstyles that Magma Chamber would have encouraged. Every aspect of the game is really balanced around Summoner's Rift, and that causes a lot of issues when introducing newer maps. For example, if the focus is on winning 2v2 and 1v1 fights, all of the champions who are best at fighting in 5 versus 5 areas are at a pretty significant disadvantage, and strong duo lanes become the standard definitely. If there's less threat of being ganked, that also means that any duelist goes pretty unchecked because they can kind of just stomp the lane without the threat of being punished for it like they might have on Summoner's Rift. Reasons like this might have been big contributors as to why Riot decided to walk away from that original 5 versus 5 concept of Magma Chamber. It's also possible that in playtesting they decided to go with something else. Riot didn't just want to abandon the total concept as just a waste of time though, since it really started as an experiment that was aiming to evolve and innovate upon the MOBA genre actually. And after a lot of gameplay testing, Riot decided that a new objective, particularly a capture and hold map, was potentially a lot more fun than just making a bigger map with the same 3-lane system, which resulted in parts of this Magma Chamber concept being altered and combined with, at the time, their newly created Project Odin, which is what became what most of you guys are going to know as Dominion. So yes, it's true, Magma Chamber actually did eventually become Dominion, or at least the original version of Magma Chamber was later transformed into Dominion, and Magma Chamber changed actually. So Riot weren't quite finished with their volcanically themed design just yet though after deciding to change it into Dominion. It was really such a cool concept that they definitely wanted to find at least some way to use the art assets and use the strategic tweaks that would provide a similar but different gameplay experience to Summoner's Rift. They could have used the volcano theme as maybe another Summoner's Rift reskin like they've done with like the autumn and the winter themes, but it definitely wouldn't have done a lot of justice to the concept and all the time spent developing it as a different gameplay experience to what Summoner's Rift offered to players. And so later Riot announced their creation in the form of a 1 versus 1 map or game mode, also with the name of Magma Chamber, which was used during the skill matchups for the All-Star Games in 2013. It was designed to be the new map for 1 versus 1 games, a new game mode really, in the same way that Howling Abyss was made to give like a new design dedicated for ARAMs. The 1 versus 1 version of Magma Chamber featured only 1 lane and only 1 tower for each side, and only a single pair of parallel bushes on the side of it. The matches at the All-Stars event was made to follow the 1v1 rules that the community usually sets up for 1v1s, which means that victory is given to the person that gets first blood, kills 100 minions, or destroys the enemy tower, whichever happens first. And it also stretched to work for 2 versus 2 matchups, but 2 kills were required to win instead of 1. The idea was that this version of Magma Chamber would support that rule set, that new game mode, so players could create custom games or queue up to play in a 1v1 or 2v2. It would be the ultimate competition, the ultimate test of skill between you and your opponent. Just you versus your opponent, no outside influences, and it was actually scheduled to release before Season 4 launched, and in the meantime Riot was going to test it out, make sure there was no bugs, and the map was balanced enough to make it function properly as the go-to 1v1 or 2v2 map. Unfortunately for the player base though, once again Riot decided to cancel that version of Magma Chamber, this time for good. The new map might have only been themed after the original concept, but it was really plagued by a lot of similar issues to those that Riot kind of had with their dream for a much bigger 5 versus 5 map. It was cancelled for good permanently in January 2014, with Riot saying that they had weighed up the workload of making Magma Chamber work truly for the public against how much people actually wanted to use the new game map, and they decided that it actually wasn't worth the time or the effort development-wise. You know, they did actually release a new 1v1 2v2 mode in the form of Snowdown Showdown, which used the Howling Abyss map, and the same rule set as the one used at All-Stars on Magma Chamber, but apparently they came to the conclusion that most people just really didn't care all that much about playing it, and as a result, they decided that the game mode was not sustainable as a permanent addition to League of Legends. But that's really a whole nother video by itself though, so we're going to be talking about the 1v1 redesign of Magma Chamber and our thoughts on using it to give players access to 1v1, 2v2 fights. We're going to be talking about that in a different video, so definitely check that out about whether we think Riot should go ahead and release Magma Chamber. Either way though, that's just about going to cover everything that we found about Magma Chamber's development and history. It's actually kind of a shame that such an awesome theme and concept just kind of ended up being left behind. But the Riot we know now is totally different from the studio that they were back in 2013, so maybe they'll consider revisiting the idea later down the road, just like they did for the Sandbox practice mode. Either way though, looks like that's going to be it for me. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.